Well, just ahead of our guest on the morning show this morning, today sunshine and 52. Enjoy it because tonight it'll be down around 31. Tomorrow 51 and mostly sunny. Then we get what they call a weather event. Rain likely Wednesday night into Thursday night, and Friday, precipitation chances of about 60 to 70%. That doesn't mean it's going to rain all day, but off and on throughout the day. Wednesday night, probably in the late night, and rain mostly likely in the afternoon Thursday night, not through the entire night, and a 20% chance that rain will continue before noon. So possibilities of some measurable moisture are a pretty good point at this time. Friday, mostly clear and 28. Right now in Hutchinson, skies are clear, and even though it feels like 20, it is 26 degrees in Hutchinson. At 15 past the hour, let's get you into the morning show. Glenn Grunwald and our guest.
Thank you. I'm very excited to have Debra Teufel with us. She's the, of course, the executive director of the Hutch Chamber, or Hutchinson / Reno County Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, Debra.
Good morning, Glenn. You got it right.
Haven't seen you for a whole year, 2024. So, and what a year 2024 was. I just told you we're going to just recap just a little bit on what some of the highlights were for the Chamber in 2024. I know you're out there beating the bushes, trying to get businesses to come to Hutchinson. There's a lot that goes along with that, and we'll talk about that, but economic development is the main responsibility.
Sure, yes. Economic development last year, I feel like was a real pivotal turning point for the community, and a lot of work goes in behind the scenes before you can turn projects into wins, but some terrific expansions announced from some of our local companies. Last year, APAC, of course, announced that they're going to be building a new headquarters building here, and so we're really anticipating the breaking ground of that very soon. We worked with Gun Bros on an expansion that is going to happen out off of Airport Road in our industrial area, and that's going to be a neat just addition as you come into town on Airport Road to see that gun range. And I'd never realized what a real tourism draw that could be to have that in our community. So that's going to be exciting. Haven Steel embarked on an expansion down in Haven, and so those are some of kind of the bread and butter kind of local expansions. Superior Boiler also was adding jobs last year, and we worked with the county on a new relocation pilot program for them, and then working with some of our sponsors of Career Quest like Collins Bus. Collins added 80 jobs last year.
Wow.
And so just quietly, those unsung kind of projects, I love to talk about those because they don't always get the limelight because they're just happening behind the scenes. Tyson Foods as well was adding jobs last year. So it was a good year of rebounding, I think, adding jobs back into the economy. But then some things that are very visible that were happening, like the Hilton Garden Inn, which we're now seeing coming to fruition. And wow, that's been such a long time in the making, but it's finally going to open this year with a lot of hard work from a lot of people behind the scenes to make that happen. The YMCA announcement, what a great opportunity for our community to be part of the Wichita Y system and have them backstopping us, but really the donors that are making that happen. When we had the groundbreaking, they said one of the largest single gifts in the history of the Wichita YMCA system is making this project here in Hutchinson happen. So those were a few things. And then, the Evergy announcement that they're going to invest $1 billion in a new generation plant here probably was the capstone of the year. But so much positive momentum in 2024.
Well, and you and your team helped make that all happen, and it doesn't happen without a very active chamber, and we certainly have a very active chamber. I want to applaud you on the effort that you and your ladies put forth to be able to do that. A lot of it ties into tourism as well. When you mentioned the Hilton Garden, that's wonderful to see that on our city skyline to some extent, and it just keeps coming along more and more, and that's going to be a great addition to that area. And along with that, tourism comes. I just heard this morning a TV report of some program over in Wichita that has something happening in the summer, and for every dollar that is invested, and part of that was by the state of Kansas, $6 more come back to the community through hotel rooms and eating out and things like that. We're so lucky to have the NJCAA National Tournament and other events here as well, the homeschool tournament that takes place, and just lots of good things, including Stratica and also Cosmosphere. So we're pretty fortunate to have those mainstays that draw people to the town. But when you mention all that growth, growth, along with that comes housing.
That's right. And I have to applaud the city and the county, or cities across Reno County, as well as the county, invested in a housing study that has been needed for a very long time. And we know that housing is one of the things holding us back, but you have to really quantify what that need is to really be able to go out then and leverage the data to be able to draw dollars in, but also attract new investors. And so there were some housing projects announced last year. We're greatly anticipating up on 43rd, a new housing development. The city decided to jump in and also acquire some land, and really are working to attract some investors to build some speculative homes there. And then we've been working with the county on a housing incentive program so that when we are attracting newcomers to the community, that there is an incentive for them to buy in some of those newer developments. And that could be either in Hutchinson, but also across the county. And that program with the county was just passed at their most recent meeting in January. And so we're kicking that off. There's a $5,000 basically incentive if you're going to buy in one of those new housing developments. So that will be a pilot program. We'll see. The county's really encouraging us to try new things and do some experiments. And I think this is one of those. So they're setting aside some money from their economic development reserve to really backstop some of those housing programs.
It's about like a big jigsaw puzzle, and everybody has a little piece of the puzzle, and you got to make it fit. And when that helps make it fit, it all comes to fruition to some extent.
That is a perfect analogy. I think a jigsaw puzzle is great. And one thing we're embarking on this year is putting all of those pieces together in a new plan. And we have all of us that work in economic development in all of the, the community, the city, the county, the chamber, our Greater Hutch Economic Development team. You mentioned Visit Hutch, and even the Downtown Hutch team, the Community Foundation, Startup Hutch, Hutch Rec. We all have a role to play in making this community better. And so we're all economic developers at the end of the day, but we have issued an RFP to solicit a firm to work with us on a county-wide economic development strategic plan. And I think this is probably the first time that's been done in a holistic way. The county's had a comprehensive plan. The city has their own comprehensive plan. We've had our individual plans that we're executing, but to get everyone in under one plan and really identify the future, probably for the next 10 to 20 years, is important to identify roles and responsibilities, but also be honest about what the needs are to get us to what our future vision is. So this will be a year that we're really working towards that vision.
Having said that, I can see it making sense because you're not duplicating some work in there to some extent with three different things, having everybody on the same page, basically.
That's right. I liken it very much to, last year was the culmination of a couple of years of work on the Downtown Hutch master planning process. And that plan is very specific to the Main Street corridor. But what that plan did was identify probably 50 items that need to be worked on as a community. But it is a community, and it isn't just the city to do alone. It isn't just our work to do alone. It's all of us working together. And that plan identified, too, who some of those roles and responsibilities are so that it's very clear who shoulders the work.
You just wrapped up your annual meeting not too long ago with a really great success with the vendors during the day and then a great speaker that night. So that was successful.
We love our annual meeting. It's the coming together of, we have 760 chamber members, and to get them all in a room on one night and be able to celebrate the work, but also celebrate them. I mean, we couldn't do what we do without all of our members pulling together. And so we love the Business Expo that kicks off the annual meeting, and the mingling that goes on, the connectivity. That's really what it's all about. But yeah, we had almost 1,000 people at the Kansas State Fairgrounds, and looking forward to that again this November.
Exactly. We're chatting with Debra Teufel, who's the president and CEO of the Chamber, and we're going to be back with more in the morning show to see about next year. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Debra Teufel's here with us. She's the president and CEO of the Hutchinson Chamber, the Hutchinson/Reno County Chamber. Very active this week. And you and I were just discussing and things to do in Hutchinson, a wonderful event this last Friday. I know you attended that, the Phantom of the Fox, and a great fundraiser for one of our beautiful landmarks that we have in downtown Hutchinson.
We have some beautiful facilities here in Hutchinson, and the Phantom of the Fox actually got to take advantage of two of those. It was Saturday night, and they had an event at the Baker Ballroom to kick it off. some beautiful Phantom of the Opera music by Chris Corey and another young lady.
Catherine Vesey. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful music. And then the whole group moved then over to the Fox and enjoyed some music from Paramount. But, that was 2 weekends in a row that we spent at the Fox, because the weekend before, what a historic event. Nicole Gallion, her husband, Rodney Clausen, Logan Mize and his wife, and another couple that are just, I felt like I was watching history with 3 power couples that have made it in Nashville and are bringing their music back to their home state. And anyway, what a great event at the Fox. And I understand they're going to do that and continue that, making that an annual event.
That's absolutely wonderful. Their area talent around here, of course, Nicole from Sterling and Logan from down around the Clearwater area as well. So been to Hutchinson. I think they continue to feel like Hutchinson's home. So that's a great event. Josh is doing a good job, and he does a great job with the Fox. And he just got back from New York, so we'll find out so shortly what they're going to have cooking for next year before too long. So anyway,
the Fox is definitely, it's a gem, and we should appreciate that and support it in every way that we can. And we were just talking about there's an event there this weekend, and it's a Loretta Lynn remake and her original band. So what a great
it is.
Great
We're lucky to have
lineup.
it, no doubt about that. We've talked about economic development and how successful 2024 was. We'll talk more in the next segment about coming forth in 2025, because I know you got a lot of pans on the oven cooking, and we'll see what's happening there. How are we doing with the early childhood and child care education? I know we had the new daycare open up with Bueller up off of the 56th Street roundabout up in that area. That's helped with that situation. But how are we doing with daycare?
There have been 8 projects that have expanded in the child care realm just in this last year. And much of that was in part due to the accelerator grants, that about $2 million of accelerator grants that came from the state, and then backstopping that with some of the ARPA dollars from the city and the county. So 8 projects. So it helped the expansion that's going on right now at Central Christian. It helped with some facility improvements at Abundant Life. There were actually 2 Bueller projects, so the one up at 56th and then also one in Bueller. And then there have been some other projects across the county. There was one in South Hutchinson, one in Pretty Prairie. I'm going to leave one off the list, but it in total has added nearly 400 new child care slots to the inventory, and that was so needed. And there's more that probably is needed, and I think some more in the works possibly, and some business and industry partnerships. But we're really pleased with the momentum that's happened with childcare.
Well, again, that's people coming together and realizing that there was a need, and being able to eliminate that need and make it very profitable as well for parents to be able to go to work is basically what it comes down to, and provide for their families as well, and know that their child is being taken care of throughout the day. And
I have to give really credit to the Schmidt Foundation that made an initial gift that helped us embark on a study to study what the need in child care here was, along with dollars from the Community Foundation, the United Way, and some partners. Without the Schmidt Foundation jumping in and helping with that, I don't know if we would be as far as we are right now.
Well, thank you. And, of course, the Schmidt Foundation tied to Eagle Media is Bob Schmidt, the original owner of Eagle. So we're very proud of that as well. We're going to talk more with Debra about 2025 as the next segment will start at 7:45. We'll take a break. News time coming up, bottom half of the hour.
Center today, sunny, light west winds, a high of 53. Tonight, passing clouds, lows down around 28. Tomorrow, clouds increasing throughout the day. Look for Thursday to be a gray and rainy day. We're going to get some precipitation. Right now, 25 and clear in Hutchinson. As we get you into the morning show once again, Glenn Grunwald and our guest.
Yes, our guest is a special guest, and that would be Debra Teufel, President and CEO of the Hutchinson Chamber. And, of course, we've been talking about 2024. We're going to move to 2025. Still the same thing. The mission is economic development to grow Reno County, and you guys got some plans for this year as well.
That's right. Working together to grow Reno County is the mission of the Chamber, and we refined that mission last year. And we talked about we're working together with the county and our communities, working towards an economic development strategic plan. But also, we talked about last week the Downtown Master Plan. Gave a presentation to the city last week about some progress there. There's some great things happening, and I credit a lot of that to the planning work that came together around downtown. downtown, but working with the city staff on a Star Bond initiative that last week was the, initial ground wall breaking at the landmark. And you spoke to Laura Meyer-Dick, but what a key project the Meyer landmark is going to be for our downtown. It's a real anchor at 5th and Main, and looking forward to that starting, and over the next 18 months, seeing those new housing units come into the community, but also the pieces of that are going to make it possible. The Cosmosphere doing a renovation, the Memorial Hall, hopefully that's a big renovation piece to it, and then the contributing parts through the district. So we're excited about what the Star Bond is going to mean for Hutchinson in 25.
We talked about new jobs coming to Hutchinson, which is exciting, very exciting. What about the workplace training that goes along with that? That's kind of important as well.
Oh, one of our gems is the Hutchinson Career and Technical Education Academy, where students from all across Reno County, in fact, beyond Reno County, can attend and get skilled up in a variety of technical trades, as well as the apprenticeship program that they have at Hutch Community College. Every day, we talk with industry about how can they take advantage of getting in front of those students. And so each May, we have a signing day event for the students that are coming through those programs, and businesses that are there to sponsor, but also be there at tables to talk about the great jobs here in Reno County, making those connections. I know HCC also has their big career fair in April. So we work in every way that we can to help industry tap into that potential workforce pool that we're just growing right here, homegrown.
It all goes together with the housing and everything else. The needs are great out there, but it looks to me like we're heading in the right direction. Let's talk about some fun things now, and that would be the National Civics Bee that's coming up. Your entries close on February 5th, just next week, but then coming up in April, we're going to have the big National Civics Bee.
That's right. This is the second year for us to be a host community for the National Civics Bee, and it is an initiative of the U.S. Chamber. And so we are a partner community, and what that means is students across Reno County, middle school students, can submit written essays by February 5th, and then those essays will get judged by judges that have to have some credentials. We had 10 judges sign up through the official portal, and then they will judge the written essays. From that, those will be narrowed down to the top 20 students, and then those 20 students will compete in an event at Stringer Fine Arts Center later this spring. And then there's both a kind of a quiz bowl style part of that, and then the finalists will also answer some questions live at the microphone, and then the winner gets to go on to the National Civics Bee. So we're super excited about being a host community for it.
Yeah, hosting that, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Also, one of the things that are on your item, on your agenda, I should say, Saturday, February 15th, which is just a couple weeks away, of course, the day after Valentine's Day. Don't forget about that. But you're going to have the 2025, the first of the legislative forums.
That's right. Every year, we love to get our legislators, when they're back here from Topeka, in the room to get them in front of our members and the community and just talk about the work that they've been doing on our behalf up in Topeka at the Capitol. And so the first of those legislative forums will be February 15th. We'll be at Stringer Fine Arts Center, and it's about an hour and a half, just dialogue. We will take questions in advance, but then I'll be moderating, and we'll pose a lot of questions to the legislators to get their opinions on some of the lawmaking that they're doing up in Topeka.
Well, that's going to be exciting. You got the two other dates planned in the spring, both of them in the spring, March 8th as well. That's a Saturday as well. And also April 26th.
Yeah. 26th. So three of those throughout the session. Yeah. And then we'll see if there's anything really interesting that happens in their wrap up at the end of the session. We sometimes will throw an extra one in May. But yes, we invite everyone out. It's open to the public to come out to Stringer. I believe they start at 9 a.m. Glenn, correct me. You've got the agenda in front of you.
I believe that is correct. Actually, 9 a.m., you're correct, 9 a.m. to 10:30 on all three dates. So that's a neat thing to have happening. We're going to take a quick break, come back and wrap things up and kind of talk a little bit more about 2025 in the Chamber right after this. Debra Teufel, our guest this morning on both segments. We're talking about 2025 with the Hutch Chamber and the Hutchinson / Reno County Chamber of Commerce. And you were telling me about an event that's going to be taking place at we're kind of sponsoring a little bit connected with Wichita State next week.
That's right. The Reno County Economic Outlook Conference is going to be next Tuesday, February 4th. And that is an event that we put on each year with Wichita State University's Center for Economic Development and Business Research. And Jeremy Hill used to be their director. Jeremy has moved on and he works for the Federal Reserve. But we have some of their experts that are going to come over. In fact, I think Craig Compton, Jonathan Norris, and another one of their economists, as well as Stan Longhofer from the Center for Real Estate, are going to be presenting regional data that is important to, look at how Reno County is performing within this region, but also giving us a little bit of a statewide outlook on the economy in Kansas. I'm going to be presenting about some of the local projects that we're working on, and we were just talking about some interesting data that's come out of the research that we'll be presenting next week. But that's February 4th. You can still sign up for it. It is posted on our hutchchamber.com website, and the registration actually goes through to Wichita State, but we are greatly appreciative of them bringing that economic research out here to Reno County.
So that's just another example of cooperation with other areas around here that to be able to sharpen steel a little bit, do the same thing, and still reach out to different communities.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of data presented. Glenn, you just asked me about labor inflows and outflows, and that's going to be one of the things we're talking about. Interestingly enough, within our workforce, we have a very mobile workforce, and we're part of this Wichita region. Being a part of the Wichita region is a blessing because we are part of the largest, probably manufacturing engine in the country. More manufacturing jobs per capita in this part of the country than anywhere else. That's a fact. They'll talk about that. But because of that, we share and share alike our workforce, and about 9,500 people every day commute into Reno County for work. And similarly, about 10,000 people every day commute out of Reno County for work. It's why it's so important that we are investing in, as a state, a robust highway system, because we need to get people where they need to work safely. But it is a very, we do share a labor pool with this Wichita region. And so it's part of what fuels our economy.
I saw that study, and I did a double take when I saw the numbers, because to me that's a rather large amount of numbers. Just wasn't aware that there was that much of a mobile workforce. Makes sense. Like I told you, I had a different career before I started helping out with radio and sports, and the fact that I was in pharmaceutical sales. So I traveled 96 every day over to Wichita to some extent, and other parts of the state as well. So that makes sense that you have a lot of folks that are like that as well. So
yeah,
that's
you
going to be
asked if
interesting.
it was Wichita specifically, and only about 10.7% of our workforce is actually going to Sedgwick County. Some of them are going to Rice or McPherson or, other outlying counties. And then there's a certain percentage, about 12% of our local economy is made up of people who get their wages from somewhere else. We have a lot of people who are remote workers who happen to be able to live here and enjoy our quality of life, but work for an employer that's, a distance away. So it's an interesting labor pool that we work within. But I was just giving the example, Glenn, you said, well, why would that be? Like, why wouldn't you just work in the community that you live in?
Exactly.
But like when we moved here, my husband works in aviation, and so he commutes to Wichita from here every day. I choose to live here because I love this here. And of course, your chamber president should live in the community that you're representing. So he gets to make that commute every day. And I think we have a lot of people like that here who happen to work within aviation. It's another engine of our state economy. And so there are those people. Then with some great jobs in McPherson. I was talking with the McPherson economic developer the other day, and she said her workforce is actually my workforce. We share alike in that, and you can't force people to work in a different industry than which they're trained in, but we appreciate everyone who lives here and then goes and makes their earnings somewhere else and brings it right back here to help spend in our community and fuel our retail economy too.
Folks that have lived in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska understand that. Iowa, even some people back east, back west don't understand that 20-mile drive or 23-mile drive to be able to get to work. But still, we make it happen. So also, you talked about some of the things that are going to be happening this year. It's exciting. What else is on the horizon that you're knocking on doors to try to get people and businesses to move here?
Sure. Well, one of the reasons we're so excited about the Evergy plant is that we are finally going to have an incredible amount of electricity electric power generation, which then gives us a selling point for our new industrial park. And so you're going to see more momentum on that. In fact, the pipeline of projects that we have submitted that site on is incredible. And I just had another conversation last Friday with a company that is in another part of the country that's working on some new innovative things, and they're going to be here in a couple of weeks to take a look at it. The spec building is doing exactly what it was intended to get people interested in looking here at an available building. A project that we showed that building to in April is actually coming back in February. The spec building didn't work exactly for them, but they're going to take a look at the Sunoco property. So some of this real estate product is helping us get in front of things. And, when I was on air late last year, I said 2024 was a year that, we were setting the stage for things. We were hosting a lot of site visits, but people weren't pulling the trigger and actually making site decisions. And one of them, you saw a project announced in Winfield. It was a Swiss company that had a facility in Missouri that they're moving to Winfield. We hosted them here. They looked at the spec building. They compared the attributes of the buildings. And, our building isn't always going to be the fit for everyone, but it is getting us in front of projects. Some projects that have had just pent up, ready to make a decision, we're waiting until 25. And they were waiting to see the certainty of the election, what policies are going to be. And I think this last week was an example that we had a lot of inquiries last week, both from businesses that are here that want to expand, but also new lookers. And I just think 25 is going to be a year of some great positive things.
Laid the foundation last year, get it going this year. Thank you, Debra. We really appreciate you stopping by and taking time out of your busy schedule. We'll talk to you next month as well and see where we are on some of the projects that's taking place. Again, Debra Teufel with the Hutchinson Chamber. She's the president and CEO. Thank you. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Glenn. You do the same.
We'll back top of the hour news coming your way. KWBW, Hutchinson, Kansas. News time at 8 o'clock.